Some truths do not arrive all at once. They reveal themselves slowly through patterns, through pauses, through the way someone responds when it matters. And perhaps one of the hardest truths to face is this: not everyone who stays in your life truly cares about you, because care is not always measured by presence. People can be near you and still be emotionally absent. They can speak kindly and still carry indifference. They can know your story and still not hold your pain with any real weight. And this is what makes emotional neglect so difficult to recognize. It rarely looks like cruelty. Cruelty is clear. Cruelty gives the mind something to point at. But indifference is quieter. It lives in the spaces between words, in the moments where your needs are overlooked, in the repeated feeling that something feels uneven, even when nothing obvious is wrong. Human beings are wired for connection. From the beginning, survival depended on closeness, on being seen, on being responded to. The nervous system learns safety through emotional attunement, through eye contact, through warmth, through consistency. And because of this, the absence of care can feel deeply destabilizing. Not always consciously, but somewhere inside, the body notices. It notices when effort is one-sided, when concern feels conditional, when attention disappears, the moment you stop giving. And often, people ignore these signs, not because they are blind, but because hope can be louder than evidence. Hope says, maybe they're just busy, maybe they're struggling, maybe they care in ways I cannot see. And sometimes that is true. But patterns tell deeper truths than isolated moments. Because real care has rhythm. It returns, it repairs, it remains. And when care is absent, certain behaviors begin to reveal that absence. Not always intentionally, not always maliciously, but clearly. And learning to recognize these behaviors is not about becoming suspicious. It is about becoming honest, because honesty protects energy, it protects dignity, and it protects the heart from investing where there is no real emotional ground to stand on. The first behavior is inconsistency. Inconsistency is one of the earliest signs of emotional indifference. Not because people cannot be busy, not because life does not interrupt connection, but because when someone values you, their care has continuity. It does not disappear without explanation. It does not appear only when convenient. People who do not truly care often engage in unpredictable closeness. One day, they are present, warm, attentive, interested, and the next day, distant, unavailable, cold, not because something happened, but because their investment was never stable to begin with. This creates emotional confusion, and confusion is powerful because inconsistency creates attachment. Psychologically, unpredictable reward strengthens emotional dependence. It is the same principle behind gambling. The uncertainty creates anticipation. The mind begins waiting, hoping, trying to earn consistency, trying to understand what changed. And this is exhausting because healthy care does not keep you emotionally guessing. It does not make affection feel like something you have to chase. When someone cares, their presence feels steady, not perfect, but reliable. And reliability creates safety. Inconsistency creates anxiety. The second behavior is emotional selfishness. This is when the relationship revolves around their emotional needs, but rarely makes room for yours. They talk, you listen. They vent, you hold space. They need support, you show up. But when the roles reverse, something changes. Their attention fades, their patience shrinks, their presence disappears. This kind of imbalance often goes unnoticed at first because giving can feel like love, and many people confuse being needed with being valued, but they are not the same thing. Being needed means serving a function. Being valued means being seen as human. People who care make space for your emotions too, not because they are obligated, but because care naturally creates curiosity. Curiosity about your inner world, your pain, your joy, your struggle. Emotional selfishness reveals itself through absence of mutuality, and mutuality is one of the clearest signs of healthy connection. Without it, relationships become emotional extraction. One person gives, the other receives, and over time, the giver becomes empty, not because they loved too much, but because love was not being returned in equal emotional substance. The third behavior is dismissiveness. Dismissiveness can be subtle. Sometimes it sounds like humor. Sometimes it sounds like logic. Sometimes it sounds like you're overthinking. But beneath it is something painful, the refusal to emotionally validate your experience. When you express hurt, they minimize it. When you express concern, they redirect it. When you express truth, they make it seem irrational. This is not always manipulation. Sometimes it is emotional immaturity. Sometimes discomfort. Sometimes avoidance. But whatever the reason, the effect is the same. Your reality begins to feel unstable. And when reality feels unstable, self-trust weakens. Psychology calls this invalidation. And invalidation is deeply impactful because human beings regulate emotion through acknowledgement. To be understood is calming. To be dismissed is destabilizing. People who care may not always agree with you, but they try to understand. They pause. They listen. They make room for your reality, even when it challenges theirs. Dismissiveness says, your inner world is inconvenient. And when that message repeats enough times, the heart begins shrinking itself, speaking less, feeling less, needing less. Not because needs disappeared, but because expression stopped feeling safe. And that is one of the saddest forms of emotional adaptation. The fourth behavior is convenience-based connection. This is perhaps one of the clearest indicators of emotional indifference. Some people only reach for connection when it serves them, when they are lonely, when they need comfort, when they need distraction, when they need access. But when life stabilizes for them, you disappear from their priorities. This creates a painful pattern: presence in their emptiness, absence in their fullness. And over time, this reveals something important. You were part of their need, not part of their care. This distinction matters because need can imitate love. Need can look intense, urgent, passionate, but care remains beyond convenience. Care stays when there is nothing to gain, when there is no immediate emotional reward, when presence requires effort. Convenience-based relationships often leave people questioning themselves. Was any of it real? And sometimes parts of it were. But partial truth does not equal full care. Someone can enjoy your presence and still not value your heart. This is difficult to accept because emotional memories complicate reality. The good moments remain vivid. The laughter, the closeness, the tenderness, and the mind uses those memories to defend the connection. But truth is found in patterns, not moments. Moments can be beautiful. Patterns reveal character. And this is where many people struggle, not in seeing the behavior, but in accepting what it means. Because accepting indifference often feels like loss. Loss of hope, loss of imagined closeness, loss of the emotional future you quietly built around someone. And grief appears, not only for the person, but for the version of the relationship you believed existed. This grief is real because attachment creates emotional architecture. It builds routines, expectations, internal meaning, and when those collapse, the nervous system feels it. This is why people stay too long, not because they enjoy pain, but because letting go of emotional investment feels like tearing down part of the self. There is also ego involved. Not ego as arrogance, but ego as identity. The mind asks painful questions. Was I not enough? Why didn't they care? What did I miss? But indifference is not always about your worth. Often, it reflects their emotional capacity, their limitations, their patterns, their inability to connect deeply. And confusing someone's limitation with your value creates unnecessary suffering. Not everyone can meet you where you are, not because you are too much, but because depth requires emotional availability, and emotional availability is rare. This is why awareness matters. Awareness interrupts emotional self-abandonment. It allows you to see behavior without rewriting it into something softer, without forcing meaning where there is none, without defending patterns that continue hurting you. And this does not mean becoming cold. It does not mean losing compassion. It means refining it. Compassion without boundaries becomes self-neglect. Understanding someone does not require enduring their indifference. This is an important psychological shift. Many people believe love means patience without limit, tolerance without end. But healthy love includes self-respect, and self-respect changes what is acceptable. It changes what is tolerated, because when self-worth deepens, clarity sharpens. You begin noticing what once felt normal. The delayed replies that only happen when they need something. The emotional absence during your difficult moments. The way your pain is treated as interruption. The way your presence is expected but rarely appreciated. And with clarity comes choice. Not always easy choice, but honest choice. To stop over-explaining your needs. To stop shrinking your feelings. To stop chasing emotional consistency from those who were never offering it. This is not bitterness. It is alignment. Alignment with reality. And reality, though painful, is stabilizing, because truth ends confusion, and confusion is often heavier than loss. Loss hurts, but confusion drain. It keeps the mind spinning, searching, interpreting, hoping. Truth simplifies, even when it wounds. And one of the quietest forms of healing is accepting where care does not exist. Not dramatically, not angrily, but clearly. To say, this person cannot hold me the way I need to be held, and to let that truth settle, because once it settles, something changes. Energy returns, not all at once, but slowly. The energy once spent analyzing, waiting, explaining, hoping begins returning inward. And inward is where healing begins, because the opposite of being uncared for is not being loved by someone else. It is learning to care for yourself enough to stop accepting emotional crumbs as connection, to stop translating inconsistency into affection, selfishness into love, dismissiveness into honesty, convenience into closeness. Because words can comfort, but patterns tell truth, and truth, when faced honestly, protects peace. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay, and not everyone who stays is meant to be trusted with your heart. Some people teach through presence, others teach through absence, through disappointment, through revealing what care does not look like. And this too has value, because clarity is not cruelty, it is protection. And perhaps the deepest truth is this: when someone truly cares about you, you do not spend your life decoding it. You feel it in consistency, in effort, in presence, in emotional space, in the quiet reliability of being considered. Care is not complicated. People complicate it, but real care at its core feels simple. It feels safe, and anything that repeatedly makes you feel unseen, uncertain, or emotionally alone is asking to be looked at honestly, because in the end, the greatest act of self-respect is not convincing someone to care. It is recognizing when they do not, and choosing yourself anyway.